Hello again, I'm Amanda Hill. As we wrap up part 2 of this Senate debate, as they mentioned, want to bring back in Don Carrigan and political science professor with USM, Ron Schmidt.
Hi.
Thank you both. Okay, final words here. We've seen Dan Kleban. We've seen David Costello. Ashley Webb was new. Elizabeth Dickerson were new. And they both seem to say, we just don't have our voices heard right now. So that's why we're part of this process. Final thoughts on this, Ron?
Don and I were actually talking about how much this felt less like a candidate debate than it did like a well-informed discussion of important events. I think Rob really did them a favor by asking that question to focus on the Democratic Party per se.
Right.
Because that's really their core audience tonight. But I mean, as someone who cares about politics, I found it fascinating to listen.
Yeah, it was a more relaxed discussion. Maybe they weren't as threatened by each other as the first group is. And it's interesting, those folks were not practiced political debaters like the first 4 were, and yet, so they seem to have a much more relaxed discussion, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, not a lot of battling back and forth, or you're wrong, or...
Right.
No, and compared to the first 4, I think there were, it's interesting, I don't know what it means, I think there were fewer direct attacks on Susan Collins, which was interesting. They talked more about, why they were doing this, what they thought, and all of that kind of thing. So, and again, maybe that's because they haven't been out banging the campaign trail as much.
But yeah, some of the comments, register to vote and keep fighting. That's the kind of thing I say in my classes when I'm not running against anybody. So it was interesting to hear that. I loved having the 2 debate experience, especially.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things Elizabeth Dickerson had brought up was, from the people I'm talking to, people are disenfranchised from this party right now.
Yeah, and, I get, some are, obviously, some probably are willing to say, well, my guy's gone, I'll find a new person. And I'm sure it's across the spectrum in that they want a candidate, right? So even, I would think, if you're unhappy that yours is gone and you still believe in the system and in the goal of electing somebody, you're going to say, okay, let's find somebody new. I
think that's the biggest danger, though, right now for the Democrats is a lack of morale. That spirit's going to go out of them.
So does this, and there'll be more debates next week.
Yes.
But does hearing the diversity of opinion and some very strong views, do you think that helps to defuse that disappointment?
And we've got about 20 seconds.
I think it all depends really on how the convention goes. I think that there's some reason for optimism. Sure.
Yeah. And the first time in my memory that a convention will really matter.
Ron Schmidt, Don Carrigan, thank you both for your analysis here. And thank you for joining us for our News Center Maine Democratic Senate debate. Have a great night.